the 4th of July and says, I think I'll start the biggest company in the world. Jeff Bezos has said to the effect, we're going out of business. As, he'd be happy if his business, Amazon, lasts until right after he died. With the competition and all the technology acceleration, it's true. Yeah, you have the Ubers, you have the Apples, you have the Amazons, you have the Googles that have just jump-started and got rid of Sears, got rid of Kodak, and General Electric is a shadow of what it used to be. Scale-ups of the world using old tools to scale up, and they do work for a time, but they totally ignore the innovation. Here's the shift. And once you get this concept that they're not getting, three times Jeff Bezos has said to the effect, we're going out of business. He says, we're going bankrupt. And of course, when I first read it, I told my wife, what is he talking about? His point is this, that we have to not only act, but actually be like it's day one. Because day two is you're an advanced business and declining, and day three, you're out of business. And he says most businesses last just about 30 years. And the article was saying that he has 5 more years from his prediction. But he actually says he'd be happy if his business, Amazon, lasts until right after he dies. With the competition and all the technology acceleration, it's true. Yeah, you have the Ubers, you have the Apples, you have the Amazons, you have the Googles that have just jump-started and got rid of Sears, got rid of Kodak, and General Electric is a shadow of what it used to be. So here's the thought that Jeff Bezos is talking about, is that we have to act as if it's day one. In his mind, it's day one. We have to be proactive. We have to be revolutionary. We have to be innovative. We have to really put ourselves out there. Because day two, in his mind, is you become a successful company that just focuses on process improvement, no innovation. You have a model, you focus on the cash, you become a Kodak. And the Kodaks of the world are the ones that actually Kodak actually invented the digital camera, but they suppressed it for 10 years. And they thought they'd make money on the licensing. But after the licensing expired, shortly after Kodak was done, they had no revenue, they were out of business. So what this means is this, and it's a tough concept to accept, because businesses understand the problem that they have. A lot of competition, a lot of challenges. They're changing very quickly. The taxi cabs are revolutionized by the Ubers. Transportation is getting revolutionized by the scooters. There's something going on. The retailers are going out of business because the Amazons popped up. There's something going on, and they don't know what the boogeyman is. They don't know what the monster is that's after them. And the real monster is this, that they become complacent in innovation. They're very active in getting their business fine-tuning. They're the scale-ups of the world using old tools to scale up, and they do work for a time, but they totally ignore the innovation. Here's the shift. And once you get this concept that they're not getting, is this, that the game is called the infinity game. Infinity game. And I think Bezos and Amazon are playing that game well. There's two camps. You have the camp of the business that's grown up. They're solid. They have a business going on. And they have clients. They have revenue. Failure is not acceptable. They don't know how to do startups. They're going really well. And the tools from the scale-ups work really well. Business plan, meetings to fine-tune their act works really well. and they don't know how to shift into innovation. They know they should, but they don't know how to do that. And that's where we come in to be able to help them do that. The shift, the thinking here is that those large companies, are focused on a limited game, a finite game, whereas innovation is an infinite game because they've got everything to go for. And those that succeed, like the Amazon, Google, and Apple, and even Microsoft now. Microsoft deviated when Steve Ballmer was there. They lost out on, of course, the iPhone or the digital phone completely, but they came back. So they're playing the innovation game. They know that because from the ground up, they were always an innovation company, whereas the other companies that grew up and stayed large, like the Sears, Kodaks, General Electric, by acquisition, buying innovation companies, but not knowing how to handle that or manage or organize it, they have different shifts. They're playing a finite game. And the finite game is we are going to go out of business. You have a curve that goes up and slowly or more quickly now starts to slide down to a finite game. What large companies are playing is a finite game. A finite game where they say scale up, process improvement, continuous clients, we have our model, failure is not acceptable, and we are risk averse. We're playing a finite game. These are the rules, and we will live as long as we can. Those that are playing an infinite game, as opposed to finite. Finite, you have rules. Infinite game says we have morals and values, but we don't really have rules. We can break within the legal bounds rules. So you have the Ubers that are stepping in, no taxi cabs, and disrupting the world in the transportation business. Now it's easier for companies to play an infinite game, playing against the finite companies. And the infinite games, infinite players always win. Always? That seems like, how could that be? You got a lot of entrepreneurs go out of business. Well, the businesses do go out of business quickly, but they sprout out again. The players are playing an infinite game. It's not the business, it's the players. So you have a mentality of the player, the Jack Welch of the world, who, by the way, they called him Neutron Jack. The company's just lost $500 billion. They're at the bottom rung. And it's the infinite players that will continuously win. And that's what we're seeing here. The key here is that we have to think like an infinite player, that we continue innovating, continue growing, continue expanding. Now, obviously, we have limitations. How long do we live? And there's other limitations, how much resources we have, how much money. But that doesn't matter when the infinite player always wins. It's a very difficult concept for most business to understand. And my clients, your clients, when they come to us, usually the ones that I've talked to, our peers, they're doing business, and they're thinking that they're going to be set up these rules, they play as a finite player, when in reality, they would win if they had a mentality of an infinite player. And that's a huge shift to think about.